My name's Evan Spence, this is Chasing Cars, and today I have next to me the Ford Ranger Super Duty. This is the first ever in Australia, being an Australian developed vehicle as well. So it's pretty special to be here standing next to just a cool vehicle. I love this thing.
Chasing Cars, honest reviews of your next car.
Brought to you by
Budget Direct.
It's a pretty big deal, this vehicle. It's the first time that the Super Duty name has been used on anything other than an F-truck. So to bring that into Rangerland, it had to make an impact. It had to be a good thing. And Ford Australia had to fight for this. They had to prove that this vehicle was going to work locally and globally. Now, what's the why for this vehicle? Well, feedback was that fleet operators and hardcore four-wheel drivers wanted something that could tow more, that could carry more, and that they didn't have to rely on the aftermarket to accessorise and build up to that next level. Ford have done that job for you, offering something that's ready to go off the showroom floor. So what I want to do is just have a poke around and show you what makes this special, because we're not allowed to drive it just yet. We will be doing that soon. We're not allowed to even sit inside the vehicle yet, but I'm going to show you around what makes it tick and a couple of cool features. Starting with, this has front and rear diff locks. So all the four-wheel drivers out there will know how important that is. They've built this vehicle to have rugged capability, so having front and rear diff locks is the ultimate way to get traction down to the ground. Now, while this is built up, ready to go, Ford are also offering factory accessories. So if you don't want the composite side steps, you can opt up for some chassis-mounted rock sliders. There's also going to be an ARB bull bar, which will fit a 12,000-pound winch, which I think is a little bit underdone. It'd be good to see a 15,000, considering the weight this thing can carry and tow. Being a big rig, you can expect it's got some big numbers too. We're talking a 4.5 tonne tow capacity and a 4.5 tonne GVM. Another exciting point to mention is there's 3 different body shapes that will be coming with the Super Duty. We've got a single cab, what I call an extra cab, and a dual cab as well. So there's a lot of different configurations to suit your needs. But there's only one Super Duty spec. That's all you can get. You can't get a top or a bottom line. You get 3 different body styles. You can opt to fit a steel tray on the back, or you can have the style side tub, but you're getting a Super Duty and nothing else. Let's have a quick look around. We've only got a certain amount of time with this vehicle. The first thing I'd like to point out is the height. Now, I'm nearly 2 meters tall, and you can see this thing's not going to fit in too many of the tighter car parks. You'll be right in a 2 meter or 2.1. They're telling us that when this is laden to capacity, it sits at the height of a Ford Ranger Raptor without any weight in it. So that sort of shows you how big it is. It's also as wide as a Ford Ranger Raptor, but that's where the similarities end. If we go down to the front, so obviously we've got this snorkel here. It is a snorkel, it's not a raised air intake. It's made in Australia by Safari in Melbourne, fantastic Australian company. Down the sides we've got these fender flares, which are bespoke to this vehicle, offering a lot of clearance for bigger tyres. You could fit probably a 35 on here pretty easily, but also it allows for space for mud and things like that. Rolling stock is a set of general grabber all-terrain tyres, and these measure to be about a 33 inch, which is so cool to see a 33 from the factory. You've got to love that. 2 different wheel options in the range as well. This is the alloy, which is inspired, I'd say, by a Method race wheel. There's also a steel wheel available for those that are going to be in more remote forestry sort of conditions. Now we'll get down right in here, because this is kind of my favourite part of this car. This front suspension is completely unique to this vehicle. They've added wider, stronger cast control arms top and bottom, and they are just chunky. They are just so beefy. The engineers have told us they put a lot of effort into making this a strong product, and I tend to believe them looking at that sort of gear. Now on the front end, we've got a steel bumper, which as mentioned, can be upgraded to an ARB bumper as well. Now power-wise, we don't know the output of what this is producing, but it is a 3-litre turbo diesel. Significant cooling system updates have been made. The engine has been beefed up to haul more weight and work harder, so we'll update that when we know more. We can't give you the power figures just yet. That's how new this thing is. Let's walk down the side and have another look at some more features. So we've got these massive mirrors, which is really good to see if you're going to be towing, as well as composite side steps, which can be upgraded to a steel rock slider, which I love. That's a great thing. Moving back down, massive tub area, which can take just so much, anything you can throw at it. Ford really want you to do these things up. They're telling us they want to see what you can do with them. So you can chuck the accessories, chuck the canopy, all that sort of stuff on it, and this will take it, which is so cool. Down the back, suspension-wise, leaf springs, which you'd expect. We've also got disc brakes front and rear. Love to see it. That's a super heavy duty leaf pack in there. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 leaves that I can see, but they're massive. We've got a huge bump stop as well, and outboard mounted shock absorbers, which is another thing I like to see because that provides more stability. If you have the shock absorbers mounted further inboard, you tend to get a little bit more body roll. So that's probably going to handle really well, even though it's designed to carry so much weight. If you look at the shackle angle on the suspension, it sits laid back at a 45-degree angle, which to me says this is going to ride pretty well because that's exactly where you want it. As well as having disc brakes on the rear, I mean, I know I'm a journo, so I can't count that well, but I can count 8 studs here behind this cover. It does have an 8-stud hub, which is excellent. Super bulky, which is what you want on a vehicle like this. Front axle's upgraded, rear axle's rear diff upgraded. The rear diff is absolutely massive. It's done a 60 sized. Blessing and a curse, because obviously a bigger diff you can get hung up on rocks and things, but I'd much prefer to see a really big diff than a small diff. Being a heavy duty vehicle that's built to haul, it's got a tow bar as you'd expect. Also, what I like as a four-wheel driver is seeing recovery points that are rated front and rear, but they're also featuring a chamfered edge. So you can use these with soft shackles. They are soft shackle compatible, which is amazing to see because some other manufacturers, 2 that I can think of off the top of my head, don't do that. And it's not good enough in this day and age. Ford's put the thought in. Anyway, so we got distracted there. Let's have a look in the tub area. This is my first time opening the tailgate, so I don't know if I'm even allowed to open the tailgate, but I've done it. We've got some sliding tie-down points, a power outlet, 240 volt, which is great. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 physical tie-downs. We've got a drop-in ute liner, not a spray-in liner. You can't win them all, but you can fit a lot of stuff in here, and that's pretty cool. The tailgate is very nicely weighted and damped. Excellent to see, so anyone's going to be able to use that. You don't just need to be a lumberjack to own one and drive one, you can be a regular person. Let's have a quick poke around inside and have a look. We can't sit in it, so I can't give you any feedback there. But the first thing I love, vinyl flooring. How cool is that? You can tell that's built for work, which is fantastic. Inside, it's basically a Ranger. We know what they look like. Massive screen. Super comfortable. I think for work and play, you're going to be really happy with something like this because it's not your traditional POV pack commercial vehicle. It should be pretty comfy, but again, we'll have to wait and see. Now, Ford Australia has been kind enough to organise something for me today. We have a current model stock Ford Ranger up next to the Super Duty, and look at the size difference. Absolutely nuts. This thing is massive in all the right ways. So you can really see the size of the tyres and the wheels, the 33s versus the stock tyres. Even the bulges on the side, the differences in the mirrors, how much wider the Super Duty is. Really good for visibility if you're towing as well. We do have a composite style side step here, but really that's kind of where the similarities end. This is a completely different animal to the Ford Ranger. I'm not saying it's perfect for everyone, but I really think for a lot of people this is going to tick some boxes, especially fleet, mines, and serious hardcore four-wheel drivers. It's cool to see some innovation in this space. Here's some quick facts about the new, we'll call it the 2026 Ford Ranger Super Duty. There's raised suspension compared to the Ranger with a heavy-duty leaf pack in the rear. Heavy-duty suspension on the front control arms also give a width increase, not just the old traditional way of putting more offset into the wheels. Something really unique to this that I love to see is an onboard scale system which measures loads. This is an excellent technology to have incorporated if you're towing or carrying heavy weight that'll let you see how much weight you are carrying as well as where you've put it. You're also getting a stronger chassis which has been completely redesigned. Engine mounts, for example, have been beefed up. It's absolutely not a sticker pack. This is a Super Duty, not just by name, but by nature. Something for the hardcore four-wheel drivers is raised breathers for the transfer case, diffs, fuel tank, and AdBlue system. This is amazing to see. Speaking of the transfer case, it is all new and beefed up to handle the loads this vehicle is going to carry. It's not just borrowed from the Raptor, which is great to see. Engine and transmission have been retuned, however final figures have not been provided. We will report on this when we know more. Manual DPF regen is a feature of this vehicle, so you can select when it's burning and when it's not. This is handy when you're off-road in long grass, or simply pulling home after a trip on the highway and you're not ready for the DPF to do a burn. A very valid point to mention is the 130 litre fuel tank, which is simply great to see in this day and age. Underbody protection is also a massive point we have to talk about. Ford are telling us this is 5mm thick, which is just stonking. They also said the plates have been GVM rated so you could balance the car off the fuel tank. How nuts is that? You'll be able to slide and scrape your way over absolutely anything without damaging what's underneath, those vital components. A 400 watt inverter has been included so you can run some small appliances, which is handy for campers as well as those on a job site. Now, we can't really tell you exactly when it's going to be here. We can't really tell you how much it's going to cost just yet because this is so new and one of the first media outlets in Australia to get this opportunity to have a look at it. But I'd love to know what you think. Does Australia need a Ford Ranger Super Duty? Because I think it's a good thing, and I'm really excited to take one for a spin, which we'll be doing next. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next adventure.